do is we spend our time thinking about the reasons why. So, my perspective here, you are the aggregators, you are the entrepreneurs, you are the facilitators, the enablers, the connectors. You are the stewards to make the world a better place. You are absolutely my inspiration. I hope that you will imagine a world where our systems, our economies, our government, and our cultures serve people and the planet, and not the other way around. You are the stewards of this vision. You are the ones who are connected to those local communities, those people. And it's really up to you guys to figure out how you can enable, collaborate, and innovate in those communities. You're only limited by your imaginations. We need each and every one of you to come together to engage your communities so that you can co-create a better world. Because ultimately, it's up to us.
Engage in a dialogue with Tonya, so I'll let you stay, and please, there's a mic right here, and then one on the opposite side, so please, if anyone has any questions, comments, join in.
Please don't be shy, I love questions.
I'm interested in examples of rural contexts of this happening.
Which part?
It seems like when you have however many million people in a very high density area, it's easy for everyone to come together.
You mean in the shared space?
In the shared spaces,
yeah.
And the projects, and so I guess the internet helps, but yeah, rural examples.
Yeah, so I struggle with the same question. I think that what we're starting to see is some really powerful examples of rural innovation happening in how communities are coming together to solve local problems. There's no question that our business model at the Center for Social Innovation is based on density. I didn't go to New York just because it's cool. I went there because it's the densest city in North America. Well, one of them. And so will the CSI co-working model work in rural communities? I gotta tell you, I don't think so. It won't work the way we do it, but it doesn't mean it won't work the way you do it, right? The way you might choose to do it. And so increasingly, I've heard of some interesting examples of arts communities coming together in rural Quebec. How folks are coming together to create affordable live-work studio spaces, and how that arts community is actually so important for the re-emergence of rural. I've heard some really interesting stuff around, and I wish I could remember, I think it's Alberta. There was a very small town, like maybe 5,000 people in this town, who have created a bond structure to be able to invest. They've each invested between $10,000 and $50,000 to co-create an investment company, where they are then together investing in small businesses that are emerging out of their local communities. So that's a super interesting adaptation, where it's very much about economic development and about supporting each other. But I think it's a fair question, and I think one of the interesting questions is how do you take some of those design elements and start to integrate them into rural settings. And I'll just say, you have in the rural community a love of place that is so enviable. And as I said, I just got back from Bali, and one of the most remarkable things about Bali is that they have not lost their culture. They're not trying to be something that they're not. It's so inspiring to be in a place that is proud of their local identity. And whenever I drive throughout Ontario and I take one of those tours, one of the things that I think is so vital is how do you in rural Ontario revel in who you are, and don't try to be somewhere else or someone else, but rather how do you share with urbanites like me that which is distinct and vital and allows me to connect into what you value. to me, there's some exciting opportunities there. I mean, one of the most exciting, I mentioned the broom maker. I gotta tell you, and I forget where it was on the way to your house, Karen.
Raphael.
Yes, right, those beautiful brooms.
Yes.
That was one of the most exceptional experiences of my Ontario life, was going out and going and visiting this broom maker who makes the most beautiful brooms I've ever seen. Like that kind of craftsmanship, that kind of pacing of life, that was inspiring. And that was the kind of thing that made me proud to be part of Ontario. Yeah, please, one question. I wish I had more on that one.
Well, I may be able to share a little bit.
Yeah, good.
In Sudbury, we have this community mobilization project that we started. It's called NOAA Space. So NOAA stands for New Hope and Opportunities. No, New Opportunities and Hope. I have to think about that. Basically, the program came together through the policing model that we saw a need. There's a lot of crime in a certain part of the city, the Duncan, and they zoned it as Zone 30. So it's a Zone 30 project. And essentially what happened is under one roof, we brought together 30, I think there's 38 now, community social services, where people who have issues with families, their children are in care, there's trouble with the police, the criminal law, if they need clothing, anything like that. There's 38 now partners under one roof. Instead of a one-stop shop. And I mean, Sudbury still has, I think, 160,000 people, so it's still fairly populated, but it would be considered a smaller town, and we managed to make it work. So just another example.
It's amazing. Those integrated service provider hubs are quite amazing. So the storefront in Scarborough is a shining example, and you're starting to see health centers as major anchor tenants for that. And what's exciting is through these collaborations, we start to understand our core competencies as organizations, because and what happens is we don't any longer feel we need to do it all as organizations, and in fact what we do is we are able to focus our own work to be complementary to the other partners in those communities. So it's very exciting.
I have just a question about the lawn. When you talk about there were these loopholes, and you found these loopholes, and you created, where did you find that expertise? Who did you engage? Anyway, how did you do that?
Okay, well, so the thing is, I know nothing about finance. So that's the first really important thing. One of the things that I think happens is that when we know too much about a topic, how many people consider themselves generalists? Yeah. So when we know too much about a topic, we see limitations. When we know very little about a topic, we push boundaries. It's natural. And so what happened was, actually, where'd she go? Oh, great. So the idea came from my brother. Okay, here's how it works. So my brother's been flipping real estate inside his RSP for years. And I had no idea how he was doing it. I was like, what do you mean? Like, how do you do that? And I had barely bought that. Like, we bought one, but somebody else did the transaction. I wasn't really paying attention. But then I asked him, I called him, I said, Sean, like, how do you do it? He said, yeah, Tom, you're allowed to have RSP, or mortgages in your RSP. And so that was the first indicator, was bizarrely my brother, who has nothing to do with the social innovation space, or social finance, or anything. And what I did is I pulled together there was a team